team of over 40,000 individuals, okay? Responsible for over $100+ million in a year and a half of fucking sales, okay? Just came off a stage full of 70,000 plus people in attendance at GoPro virtually, just spoke on stage, and by the way, just did over $1 million in commissions in a year in sales. Give it up, okay, for Rakan Khalifa, the King Khalifa.
Y'all sleeping today. What's up, everybody? I'm gonna talk a lot about promotion and expanding because I believe it's probably one of the most important things in any business. If you're an entrepreneur, a network marketer, a sales guy, doesn't matter what it is, promotion and expanding are the two things that every person should be, focusing on. And here's an acronym that I want you guys to write down. And this acronym is responsible for 40,000 people. You guys ready for this? D.I.C.X.S. Why are you guys laughing? Daniel, who invited these dirty-minded people, bro? Not me. D.I.C.X.S. It's in the room. Anyway, moving on. So, you guys got it? We get it? D.I.C.X.S. Let's talk about D. Let's talk about D. We're good? Can we move on, please? Can we move on? When you're talking about D, your dedication and goals are very important. Dedication and goals are very important. You see, the reason why we've done the sales that we've done is because I had a goal and I started with the end in mind. I started with what? The end in mind. Started with what? So I put up the goal at the end of the 9 days and I worked backwards, and we'll talk about how I wish I had a screen here. I want to show you guys some stuff, but it's okay. I worked backwards, right? And I really needed the goal at the end of the 9 days. I had to work on it, right? So talk about the D, talk about the dedication and goals. One of my goals was like, okay, we're gonna put up X amount of people in 90 days, right? We're gonna do this at the end of the 90 days. And then I start working backwards, right? A lot of you guys have not run in 90 days. You see, a lot of people after GoPro ask me, Rakan, so what's the point of 90 days? The whole point of 90 days is to really pressure what you've done in a year, put it up in 90 days. That's all, right? So if you're doing 1 call a day, 1 message a day, 2 messages a day, all you gotta do now is pressure that into what? Into a short period of time, that's all. So for me to do that, there has to be some goals, there has to be some pressure, right? So the 90-day game plan, I gotta break it down, right? What am I gonna do at the end of the 90 days? What's gonna happen at the end, or what's gonna happen in the first 30 days, the second 30 days, the third 30 days? That's how I break it down. Well, you gotta understand, in any 90-day run, if any of you guys are really running, the first 30 days, you're just filling up the pipeline, right? You're just filling it up. You're doing all the activities, and I promise you, there's no results showing up. The first 30 days, there's nothing. You can't do nothing in 30 days. The second 30 days is where you see a little momentum. Oh, some people signing up. Oh, some people locking arms. Oh, some people doing this. The last 90 days is where explosion happens. See, the problem is less than 1% of the world of sales guys or salespeople in general get the last 30 days. So they don't see the actual fruits at the end. Is that making sense? And then what's gonna happen in 2 weeks? What's gonna happen in 7 days? What's gonna happen in 5 days? What's gonna happen in the first 48 hours? And all I need is 1 week prior to 9 days and I'm good, right? So I broke it down exactly what I'm gonna do. Is it gonna work perfect? Absolutely not. But I have a goal already that I'm working for, right? Any sales business, anything that was sales, anything that involves people, you have to have a plan. And you gotta share that plan with other people so you're not working by yourself, right? So that's the D. What's after the D? The I, right? Who can tell me what the I is?
Inspiration.
No.
Initiation.
Integrity? No. What else?
Imagination.
What else? Not imagination, that's for sure. It's intensity. How many of you guys are actually intense? Y'all see Daniel?
Yes.
You guys count how many the word fuck he said in like 20 minutes? It's like, Habibi, thank God my mom's not here. So, Intensity. How intense are you willing? A lot of you guys are very passive in your business. Hey, I have this product. And listen, it's so great. You can put it on. Y'all ever had an Arab guy sell you something? Habibi, I give you best price. You sell right now. Hey man, born salespeople, I'll tell you guys that much. So intensity, how intense are you in the business? And listen, even when you're training in the beginning, you gotta be a little bit intense. You gotta talk to your people. Listen, man, we're running. So I love when Daniel said, listen, you can do all the numbers, but you gotta care a little bit. I'm with that idea, right? But here's where I messed up. So let me give you a quick story. So one time, I was 6 months in business, I didn't make any money. 6 months, didn't make no money, right? So I called my upline at that point. My upline is Jasmine. Shout out to Jasmine. Shout out to Jasmine, man. Give her a shout out, please. So, a long story short, a lot of you guys signed up through social media, or you know the person. I signed up through a guy and a girl in the club, right? So you guys have a better chance of winning than I do. I'll be real with you guys, right? So anyway, I met Jasmine and another guy at the club. And this guy was just partying. I'm like, bro, what do you do? He said, trade. I'm like, what, cocaine? Like, what are we doing? Because you don't look like a guy that does anything in the financial markets, my brother. Anyway, moving on. So I ended up signing, I don't know why I signed up. I ended up signing up. And you know, my first initial goal was 10 years to school. I called her after 6 months of nothing working, right? I did all the I wasn't a social media guy. I had no followers. I'm like, hey, listen, this is not working, but I have an idea. This is in the middle of my exams. Does anybody get ideas in the middle of like doing something else about something else? I'm like in the middle of my exams, I call up my mom, like, hey, I have an idea. She's like, oh, what's up? I'm like, I know why people are not signing up. She's like, oh, I wonder why. I'm like, listen, these people are North American. I'm Arab. They're not going to relate to me. So guess what I'm doing? She's like, what? I'm booking a flight back home. I'm signing up entire Middle East. She's like, do you even know how to do a presentation? No, I'll figure that out when I get there, right? Everybody respects me there. Everybody believes in me there. So anyway, true story, I booked the flight. And I go to Middle East literally the month after. Here's what happened, right? In my mind, listen, I was born and raised there. Everybody trusts me. Everybody believes me. So I get there and we sit down that night with a bunch of my friends. And this is the people that I want to prospect, by the way. This is the people I'm going to pitch. Y'all ever have a troublemaker and always in a group? Are you guys sitting beside the troublemaker right now? Some of you guys are, huh? So anyway, we were sitting down and this guy is like, oh, so Rakan, so you do business now? Like, yeah, bro, I run a business. So what's this business? And I don't know why. I was like, and that did not go well. So initially, the people that I wanted to prospect all lost interest. I'm like, holy, we started listen, we kicked this off in a bad time because I had a goal. I'm like, we're going to sign up 1,000 people in a month and a half. Yeah. Anyway, guess how many people signed up at the end of the month and a half? So I go to Toronto, and I see in the chat, I see one of my leaders. He puts up in the chat, he's like, hey, anybody that is willing to actually, do this campaign with us should show up at my house. I see it and I ignore, right? Jasmine calls me, hey, what's up? I think you should come. I think I should not. I think I shouldn't show up. She's like, I think you should. Y'all ever had a pretty girl tell you something? I'm like, okay, I'm coming. Yeah, I think that's what happened, right? So I show up, and by the way, the story has a point, and we'll talk about stories in a bit. That initial time, I don't know what happened at that point. I used these acronyms that I gave you guys, and that after that meeting, and there's a story right after it I'm going to share at the end because I can't share it right now. I'll get way too emotional. After that meeting, 3 months after that, I started making a full-time income. 6 months after that, I started making a six-figure income. One meeting, because I was intense. I was going, right? So the D, we talked about the I. The C is communication. Anytime you're launching something, you have to learn how to communicate inwards, outwards, right? If you have somebody on your team, you got to communicate with them. You got to write this down. You got to do something called a whisper campaign. Whisper campaign. Hey, I'm launching something. That whisper, let me explain to you maybe how a whisper campaign would work for people inside, right? Inside of my team. I had 5 people on my team. Listen, bro, don't tell nobody, huh? We're launching a big campaign. We're launching something big. You're the first, don't tell nobody. And I had the exact same script for everybody on my team. Don't tell nobody, huh? Here's how you do it outwards. Watch this, right? I printed a paper. I explain my products, right? And I'm sitting down with somebody. I'm like, listen, bro, we can't even sign up right now. We're gonna sign up next week, and you're gonna be the first one. And here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna sign you up first. And I wrote 001. I did that 1,000 times. Hey, Habibi, listen. 0, 0. You're gonna be the first one, huh? 001. I got so good. I'm like, before I start, hey man, 001. Here's what happened. That initial bump, right? So I was communicating with a lot of people using the intensity, and I have a goal in mind, right? So I had the D, I had the I had the communication, and I talked to people inwards, outwards, and I'll tell you guys how the bigger launch, how it happened right after, right? And then at D.I.C.X.S, I had some expectations from my team, right? When I'm talking, I have some leaders in the room. Shout out to GC, man. There's nobody here but Jesus. What's going on? Anyway, I have some solid leaders, but I had to set the expectations, right? Set the expectations really early. I'm like, listen, we're gonna do this hard. You're gonna hate me. You're gonna cuss me out. We're not gonna like each other. At the end, though, you'll be grateful. Just stick around. Expectations. A lot of you guys don't have expectations for your people. What's your expectation from this outcome? You gotta share somebody with. The Jay was talking about vision. You gotta share some vision with people. They gotta really know what they're running for, right? So that was the expectation part. And then the last one, the S part. I believe in any launch that you're doing, the S is most important one, which is stories. How many of you guys get moving with stories? Let me tell you something. And if you call me on Instagram, you better call me for this one. Never share a point with no story, and never share a story with no point. Say that again, right? Never share a point with no story, and never share a story with no point. That's how you get your point across always. All my leaders know. If I say, hey, let me tell you a story, they know what's coming. They know what's coming, right? I had one of my guys, he wanted to quit, really wanted to quit. And I listen to a lot of podcasts, so I was listening to, I won't mention his name, but there's this gentleman in network marketing. He's been in the industry for like 25, 30 years, right? So I learned these stories, and this guy has been in the same company, listen to this, same company, no success for 9 years. The 10th year makes $3 million. And he's been on $200,000+ a month for the last 15 years. Sign me up. That's real residual income. Is that making sense? So imagine sharing a story with somebody that wants to quit. It's like, hey man, 9 years. Like, oh wow, I've been here for 3 months. I think I should stick around more. So I get them engaged with the stories, right? So we talked about the dedication and my goals. We talked about the I, the intensity. The C is communication in any promotion that you're doing. The X is expectations, and the S is stories. I wish I wanted to draw, but does anybody know the law of innovation? There's a bell curve of innovation. I want you guys to draw a bell curve. I don't know if you guys saw that, but right? And it gets divided into multiple ways. The first part is the 2.5%, which are innovators, right? Simon Sinek talks about this, the innovators. See, the innovators are the people that create ideas, right? The second part, they're the early adopters, right? 13.5% or 12.5%. These are people that adopt early to ideas, right? Or adopt early to the innovators. And then you have, right in the middle, you have the early majority and the late majority, 34%, 34%. And the last one is laggards, 16%. Repeat that one more time, right? You have the 2.5%, which are the innovators. And then you have the 12.5, they're early adopters, and then you have 34%, early majority and late majority, and then you have laggards. Let me explain to you, you want to launch anything in life, you only need 16 to 18%. This is stats. 16 to 18%, at any point, you'll launch a big business, you'll launch a big team. So when I was talking about communication, all it is I need to get the people, the 16% on board. And once the 16% are on board, I can influence the entire team. Does that make sense? So I'm launching a campaign. Let me tell you about the second campaign. I believe we worked at such a rate that was scary. December 2019, I lost the majority of my team, right? It's not a big team. I had like 800 people. I lost 700 of them. They moved on to a different company, and kudos to them, right? All success to them. But here's what happened to me. A lot of things happened to me, but I was driving a Maserati, pretty much selling, a dream, living a nightmare, right? I was making $200 a week. And probably 4 or 5 months before that, I bought 10 tickets to the platinum. This is when GoPro was not virtual. I bought like 10 tickets for the GoPro event, and I'm like, so excited. I'm like, finally, I'm gonna go see GoPro. I'm gonna do it live. I've never been to a big event, so this is exciting. And these cost me 10 grand. Guess what? I was making $10,000 a month, so I spent literally a month's income on these tickets. And I said to all my leaders, listen, I'm gonna have my top 10 leaders. They're gonna come. I'm gonna pay for them. We're all good. These 10 people ended up leaving to another company. Watch the story, right? So I call Eric's office. I'm like, hey, I'm looking for a refund. That's $10,000, brother. Anyway, so it's like, bro, there's only 2 weeks left for the event. I can't give you a refund. I'm like, so what? I'm wasting 10 grand? No. So he gives me a super VIP ticket, right? I'm like, well, what's that gonna come with? He's like, a super VIP ticket comes with, you can meet Eric, you can go to his house, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, whatever, right? That event, not only the event, the meetings that I've done at that event changed my life. Y'all believe that everything happens for you, not to you? See, everything happens for you, not to you. I was upset. I didn't know. See, you can never connect the dots looking forward. You can always connect the dots looking what? Backwards. And I remember like to this day, I was sitting down with Eric and I'm like, bro, I lost my team. I don't know what to do. He's like, bro, I think you should do a run. I think you should read the run for 90 days. As we're saying that, I hear 2 Arabs behind me. I'm like, yo, there are other Arabs in network marketing. So I go up to them. I'm like, bro, you guys live in the Middle East? He's like, yeah, bro. I'm like, how many customers do you have? 1 million customers. 1 million customers, you. And this guy's like this tall, right? I'm like, you, 1 million customers. Like, yeah. I'm like, how long? 10 years. So like people accept network marketing there? It's like, bro, are you stupid? Network marketing is born for the Middle East. Well, damn. I missed the point. So anyway, I'm like, listen, bro, I don't care to, like, I just sit down with me for, I'll invite you for the shisha. I need to sit down. Just tell me what I need to do. Anyway, we go down and he really explains to me how to talk and how to do things and how to do all the things. And I go back and I tell my leaders, hey, listen, kids, we have a new plan, right? We're launching in the Middle East. Like, bro, you told us before. This time is different. I believe more, right? So literally, I had 2-3 guys on my team that spoke Arabic. Now, mind you, I don't know how to present in Arabic. I don't know how to talk in Arabic. I don't know how to utilize my products in Arabic. I knew nothing, but I'm like, you know what, bro? God, please be with me. Let's go. All right? Did the same thing. We did a whisper campaign. I messaged 2,000 people or 2,500 people in literally a week. Voice notes. Habibi, I'm launching something in the Middle East. I think you should be on board. That's it. If your name was Arabic in my friends list, you got a message. Watch this story. Watch the story. One of the guys, old friend, right, sent him a voice note, ignored. I'm like, F this guy, man. He calls me 2 days after. He's like, hey, bro, I have a guy on the phone call. I'm like, okay, what's up? So this guy calls me with his Arab annoying, anyway, wow, what are you doing? Okay, I have this thing. I'm like, he's pitching me this Ponzi. I'm like, listen, bro. Listen, whenever you're looking for a real company, please call me back because I'm pissed off. And I hang up the phone. I'm like, bro, don't waste my time. I'm in launching mode, right? And I'm mad, I'm hungry. All the emotions that you guys can think about, I have them all. Here's what happened. This guy calls me a day after. He's like, so what do you do again? And I'm like, X.S. He's like, so how do I sign up? I'm like, here. I got him to one of my leaders. My leader signed him up. This guy is responsible for one of the biggest things in the Middle East today. Listen to this. Listen to this. This all came through a whisper campaign. So after that, all I heard was that after I hang up the phone, my friend listened to the voice note and he told him about the voice note. He's like, yo, Rakan is launching something. I think you should get on board. One message led to millions in sales. One message, one person. And this is the power of launching a team. This is the power of getting people on board with you, right? Now here's the real reason why my first 90 days, it worked really well. And this is a story that I've always shared. And, every time I get emotional, but I'll try as much as I can to not get emotional about the story. Right after that meeting that I was telling you guys about with my upline at his house, I go back home and I'm like, I'm working, I go to Starbucks every single day. And I get a call from a friend. This friend tells me, I think I see your mom. I'm like, I don't think you can see my mom. It's 9 a.m. and there's no way my mom's up at 9 a.m. Right? I know my mom really well. She's like, I think I see your mom. I'm like, where? She tells me in the neighborhood. I'm like, okay. I don't have a car at that point. She comes, picks me up. Right? Y'all ever got closer to something and then your heart started beating harder and harder and tick, 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 tick. I wish I can show you guys the video, but we get to the intersection, right? And I'm looking in the corner, and I can't figure. It's snowing so much, I can't figure out who that was. I get closer, and it's my mom. I see my mom working a job in the middle of the Canadian weather, right? She has a stop sign, and she gets kids to cross every single day. If you guys don't know anything about me, my mom has never had a job. I come from a very wealthy family. Right? My dad just had a small dip before I got to Canada. So at this point, my ego is broken, right? I'm this successful entrepreneur, right? Talking about financial freedom on social media, talking about this platform that's gonna change people's life, talking about success and shouting at people, while I see my mom in front of me working. And I've never been broken so much in my entire life. So I go up to her, I'm like, Mom, why? It's like, Rakan, one time you left your laptop open and I saw your bank account and I don't think you can support us. And she's like, your dad is having some troubles back home and I wanted to support him. And that day, I promised her one thing. I'm like, give me 6 months. If I don't figure out this business, I'm gonna quit and go back to my job. And guess what happened after 6 months? We had 400 people signed up on my team, making over $10,000 a month. So, the reason why I didn't tell you guys the story in the middle, because it would ruin my training. So that's why I told you guys at the end. See, sometimes we have to go into negative things in our lives. Rock bottom. For you to have nothing else, for you to go up. Now, I would hate for something like that to happen to you. And this is why I always talk about launching. I'm always saying you should go. You should keep going. You should launch something. If you have an area in your mind, you want to expand to Latin America, or you want to expand to this community, or you want to expand to that community, do it. It won't be perfect, I promise you. Just do it. Figure out a game plan, have the 90 days run. Break it down. Break it down. And really do it. See, I'm not pushing my religious beliefs on you, but Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, had a beautiful sentence. And this is available, by the way, in all the books, the Torah, the Bible, and the Quran. He talks about, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ أَحَدًا إِذَا عَمَلَ عَمَلًا فَلْيُتْقِنْهُ. God loves somebody that if he has something, they'll go all in, all their master it. And I love that quote because it makes sense. See, a lot of us, I'll be real with you guys. You guys are here mentally, right? Sorry, you guys are here physically, not mentally. Some of your teams are signed up to your teams physically, not mentally. See, I worked at a gym for so long. This is the time of the year where we make the most money. People come to the gym, listen, man, it's New Year's, new me. What happens in February? I wish I can see these people anymore. This is why our gym was so smart. He puts people on 1-year contracts. You can't even leave even if you wanted to. See, it's the same thing. You put yourself into a 90-day contract with yourself. No quits. All in. And I promise you, watch how your business changes. Does that make sense? Did we get the acronym? I know Dan is going to kill me for that, but it's okay.